Hello. Today we're going to ask and answer the question, what role does strength play in our functional fitness long-term plan? My name is Chris Butterworth. This is the Healthy Butter Fitness channel. This is the place where we talk about fighting off the effects of father time every day, every step of the way, being in our 50s and 60s and trying to be pain-free and trying to live with an eye for the future, building through our 50s, 60s and into our 70s and 80s and being able to enjoy life to the fullest without having chronic pain, reduced mobility, any of that kind of stuff. I'm 56 years old and I feel great. When I turned 50, I had chronic back pain, I had shoulder issues, elbow issues, and I've worked my way through all of that. And functional fitness has been my way to do that. Kettlebells, clubs, and Mace. And I'm trying to share with you the things that I've learned along the way to make your journey easier than mine was. So with that in mind, let's talk about strength. I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis onto strength, gaining weight, lifting heavier weights, going through cycles, trying to improve your overall ability to be strong. And I think there's a duality to strength. Clearly, I would rather be strong than weak. All else being equal, stronger is better. But I think in the grand scheme of life and in the grand scheme of aging, all else isn't equal. I think that functionality, movement, flexibility, range of motion, balance, all of these things are more important than strength. So I'm going to make the call that I want to be strong enough to do what's needed, but I don't need to be strong for strength's sake. Does that make sense? I think when we talk about functional fitness, when we talk about fighting father time, and when we look around at others we know that have aged ahead of us, I am, like I said, I'm 56 years old. My wife is the same age. We have a lot of friends that are, plus or minus a few years. And so when I look at my parents and my in-laws and my friends' parents, a generation, everybody's kind of around 80, plus or minus a few years. And I've watched them over the last 5 to 10 years. Everybody kind of watches their family age, but because I've been so focused on functional fitness and because this has been such a big part of my life over the last 4 or 5 years, I've really paid attention to what they look like and what their strengths and weaknesses are and some of the struggles. And as we watch people age through their 70s and into their 80s, my Mount Rushmore of things that I would look for, and I'd probably say 5 bullet points, maybe you can combine a couple and get to 4, but I think being pain-free is the absolute difference maker. If you can be 70s, 80s, even upwards of 90 and be pain-free, you're living life immeasurably better than people that are chronic pain, getting in and out of bed, sitting down in a chair and getting back up, walking for too long, more than a block at a time or something like that. As you age, if you're in chronic pain, it just makes life no fun. And it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter who your doctor is. Chronic pain doesn't discriminate. And so I think that's the number one key. I think then you go down from there, having balance, being afraid to fall all the time, being worried about the terrain. Is it too rocky? Is it too steep of a hill? Whatever it is the pavement loose? I think the people that we look at that have balance issues don't enjoy doing things quite as much, and a couple of them have fallen. We have in our group of people that we know, we've got a couple of broken hips, we've got broken wrist and elbow, and we've had some people that have taken some falls. So I think balance is a big deal. Kind of hand in hand with balance, just being able to get down and get back up, right? Sit in a chair, stand up, get on the floor, stand up. if that's a non-issue, you're 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 living life instead of thinking about what you can and can't do. Range of motion, again, as you get older, you kind of get rigid, you kind of get stiff, you kind of get unbalanced, and being able to keep that at bay is a big deal. And range of motion, balance, flexibility, they kind of all go together. So I'm calling out 5 things there. If I add flexibility, you could probably combine a couple and get to a Mount Rushmore. But I think those are the key things. When I look at my parents, my in-laws, and some of our friends' parents, I can't find one of them that says, man, I sure wish I was stronger. But I hear a lot of complaints of, oh, I can't get out of the couch like I used to. Somebody help me up. Or just balance issues is a big deal. So I think you need to be strong enough to do what you need to do throughout the day. But there is no point in time when you're 80 years old that you're trying to bench press 300 pounds. It's a stupid correlation. When you say it out loud, it sounds stupid. And that's because it is stupid. It doesn't matter. I think that there may be a case to be made where strength gains today can help you stay stronger later, because our strength deteriorates as we get older, right? We lose a certain percentage every decade of our muscle mass, our bone mass, our fast twitch fibers, all that kind of stuff. So if you're able to get yourself to, I always think of video games in terms of like abilities, your strength, your quickness. Are you a 78 and an 88, and maybe your overall is an 82? If you're able to add points to your level, if you're able to make yourself a stronger version of yourself or a better version of yourself now in your 50s, then maybe, if you can get up to an 85, then maybe in your 60s, you're going to be an 80. As opposed to if you're a 78 now and you don't do any of that work and then you're a 70 later, right? I think that working now can help keep some of that stuff at bay later. But I don't think strength for strength's sake matters. And I'm going to go a second step with that, because when we talk about being stronger today so that we keep some of that for later, strength comes in all different types of forms and formats, right? There are Tai Chi masters who can do horse dance for an hour at a time and hold poses that regular people can't do, right? They're very strong within their body. Calisthenics guys don't lift weights. But if you've ever seen an older person that has done calisthenics for a long time, a former gymnast or something like that, their ability to move their body and the strength that they maintain is fantastic. And they're not lifting heavy weights, right? So I think a lot of times when we talk about getting stronger, we immediately think of heavier weights. I got to lift, I'm doing a 35-pound kettlebell. I'm working my way up to a 45-pound. And then I want to do the 24 kilograms, which is 53 pounds, right? And everybody's always trying to work toward that 24K. But it's also about doing longer duration, even with a lighter weight. Or it's about adding complexity or even body weight exercises. All of these things can keep you strong without having to go up in weight. So I think that strength is important because we're going to need it. I think that if we can get stronger today, it's going to help us as we go down the future. We will have more to lose, as opposed to if you're starting with very little and you lose whatever you have, it's going to be really bad. But I think we want to keep strength in mind, or keep it in perspective with regards to the other things that we're working on. Balance, flexibility, movement, range of motion, getting up and getting down. All of these things I think matter more than strength. So I'm not opposed, if you look at my workout chart, and I've done some workout reviews on this channel, I'm not opposed to increasing strength. I also add, sometimes I have a heavy and a light day for the same exercise. But even in my heavy days, it's not a case where I'm trying to push reps to the point that I can't do anymore. I don't want to be sore tomorrow from today's workout. I certainly don't want to tweak anything, throw a heavy kettlebell above my shoulder that I can barely lift and then pull my shoulder out. Like, to me, that's just dumb. There's no reason to do that. I want to work out at about 80% capacity over and over and over again, day after day after day. And I want to do this for the next several decades. So for me, bottom line, strength plays a very big role in functional fitness. But even with that, it's probably 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6 major pieces. So yes, keep moving, keep improving, keep functioning. If we continue to improve a little bit each day, week, month, quarter, we're going to get stronger. It's just a byproduct of if you could do 10 reps and then eventually you do 11 and then eventually you do 12. The byproduct is we're getting stronger. So I want to embrace strength, but I don't want to pretend that strength is what we're chasing. Strength is one piece of the overall puzzle. I hope that makes sense. I hope that helps you as you're able to put this together into a program. Let's focus more on doing lots of things more often instead of trying to hammer out a max rep or a max set. And I hope you're able to put a program together that works for you as well as mine did for me. That's all we have for today. Have a great day. Go get better.